Hi guys, let the games begin. I can't do a very good impression, but we're going to be chatting about Saw 2004 tonight, the original Saw number 1. Hi Josh, I'll just add you in. Josh, come on, there. That should have added Josh, hopefully. Hi, Emma. Hi, Josh! That's brilliant!
You want to play a game?
I purposely this time waited for you to come on before I invited anyone else. Oh my god, you look so good! I didn't do any makeup. I feel very underdressed. That's so
Had to be
brilliant.
done. Had to be done. No wig.
Here's it. Oh, where's Emma? Emma?
Ooh, Emma's in the trap.
Emma, you in the bear trap?
Oh, guys!
Hi, Emma.
My camera's always round the wrong way.
Right, I just add the other
Oh my
Josh.
god, Josh!
I'm missing Josh. It's so scary.
That is awesome.
Oh, the other Josh is
Love
here. You just need to turn your camera around.
There we
Josh
go.
Yay! You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah! Well, Josh 1 has come like fully dressed up tonight. I've just put like this red light on, so all the neighbours think there's something dodgy going on in my house. So, oh dear, oh god, you look so good, Josh. Like, I can't stop looking at you. Right,
I'm the only one in makeup. I feel like
I know. I can't. No, it's so good. It's just that.
I did consider it, Josh. I did consider it, but I got this blood paint, and when I put it on, it wouldn't come off my face. So I'm going to go out tomorrow, so I thought, oh, I better not.
Oh dear. Well, I'll introduce you all. So thanks to everyone who's joining in. I'll introduce you all. So up here we have all dressed up tonight, and he's always very fucking confused. It's Josh. It is a line out of the film. You're not really confused. Oh God, stop. That's so scary. Recently escaped from the bear trap because she's kick-ass. It's Emma. Woo, woo, woo.
Hey, everyone.
And some people call him Billy the Puppet, but we call him Josh too because he's our special guest, and it's going to get very confusing on this chat with two Joshes. So,
yay!
welcome, Josh too.
Jigsaw, yeah, we can call you Jigsaw.
And so Josh runs a brilliant YouTube channel, The Nightmare on Woodsboro Lake. It does like reviews and really like creative content. So check Josh out. Absolutely fantastic. No, it's brilliant. And you can do a brilliant impression, can't you, Josh, of Jigsaw? So we really want to hear it. Come on.
Oh,
we do.
I know I did it for you the other day.
You sent me a voice note,
there's
and
pressure
I thought I
now.
was being stalked.
Let's see if I can do it again.
Go on.
Do you want to play a game?
Whoa.
Inside your bloodstream, you will start to feel a little tingle.
Oh my god, it's so good.
That's so good.
Thank you. I think I did it way better when I sent you the voice recording, but
You can be in the new Saw film.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, Josh does good impressions because when we did like a Shaun of the Dead chat on Josh's channel, that's a tongue twister. Josh's channel. Oh my god! And Josh was doing like all of the impressions of like Simon Pegg and all that. It was so good.
Whoa.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, Sean.
So good. Oh, brilliant. Emma, what are you doing?
I lost my earphones. I lost my my earphones went all weird.
Not again.
I think it was Josh's Jigsaw impression just came through my ears, and I was it went all fuzzy, and I was like, oh no, get him out!
Oh,
My bad.
bless
We're all
you.
now trapped.
That's all right.
Actually, no, by now, Josh 2. I'll have to say Josh 2 because it's actually, I call Josh 1 like Billy. Billy the puppet. But yeah, we're a bit crazy here on this chat. But yeah. So we're here to talk about Saw from 2004, which I haven't watched since the first time I watched it because it terrified me. There's one particular scene that scared me, but I was pregnant at the time, so that's my excuse. But Saw essentially is about two strangers awaken in a room with no recollection of how they got there, and they soon discover that they're pawns in like a deadly game by a notorious serial killer, apparently a serial killer. So the film came out in October the 29th, 2004. So it just hit just before the Halloween market. So the film was given a very small budget of 1.2 million, and it was filmed in 18 days. Director James Wan's first feature debut, I think it was, and written by, and I always butcher his name, is it Lee Wallenall? I think. I don't know how you say it. Lee Wannell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm like with names. Which he also stars in the film. So the film was originally intended to be a straight-to-video release, but after positive screenings, it was given the nod to become a premiere film. And the film screenplay was written in 2001 as kind of like a calling card for director James Wan and Lee Wannell. Wannell. I'll get it. And they were trying to break into Hollywood at the time, so they shot this like low budget short based on the scene of the film, and it proved to be successful enough to attract the attention of like producers and things like that. So apparently they came up with the idea when Lee Wannell they came up with the idea of the brain tumour after he spent time in like a neurology ward for anxiety and headache. So he said undergoing numerous tests and expecting bad news made him reflect on his own mortality. So he used that experience in creating the character of Jigsaw, who only had a few years to live. So they also challenged themselves to kind of film it in like a one-room kind of scene. And it grossed more than 100 million worldwide and became one of the most profitable horror films since Scream in 1996, which is amazing, really. When I read that, incredible. I was like, blew my mind a little bit. But enough of me waffling. So was this a first time watch for you, or what's your first memory of watching Saw? We'll come to Josh 1 first, Billy.
This was maybe a second or third time watch. I think the first time I saw it was on DVD about 10 years ago. And I think it was kind of like after the torture porn horror craze had died down. I think I'd seen Hostel and various others. And I was like, I'm going to go back and watch the original, the one that really sort of kicked off the torture porn era. And I thought it was fantastic. It wasn't at all what I was expecting. I think because it's kind of part police procedural, part grisly horror film, part kind of like morality game. I think there's so many interesting things going on in the film that it makes for like just like a really unique viewing experience.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it kind of became this huge phenomenon, even though the central idea is like very simple. But I guess that's kind of why it became franchisable, because they could take that one idea and just do so many different things with it. So yeah, it was great watching it again. It's such a good film. I always forget how good it actually is.
Yeah, no, definitely. How about you, Emma? Was it first time watch, or have you seen it before, or what do you remember from when you first saw it?
I'm pretty sure I saw it at the cinema. I'm pretty sure. I had a chat with my hubby, and he thinks we saw it in the cinema. I actually had a different experience from when I was in my 20s and I saw it to now in my 40s. I didn't think it was as good as I thought it was in my 20s.
Oh,
so I had a complete different take on it. I thought obviously the premise is fantastic, like Josh says. It's you can do so much with it. And it's still I think it holds up. If someone was to come new to it now, they'd still really enjoy it. I think they'd still really enjoy that storyline. It's a very clever twist. Yeah, but I didn't think, looking back on it now, I was like, this isn't as thrilling as I thought it was before, and I'm not sure what it was, but it wasn't as, I don't know, 20-year-old Emma was like, wow, and maybe I've just watched so much horror that I'm just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
But yeah, no, I thought it was, I think it's still a great film.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, different reaction, and I didn't remember parts of it either, so it was good watching it again and just seeing how I looked at it differently at this age.
Yeah. How about you, Josh, too?
Yeah. This was probably my third or fourth time watching it. It's my wife's favorite series. So occasionally we bust it out and watch it, and I agree with you guys. It definitely still holds up. James Wan is definitely one of those people with his movies have that twist to them that you don't really expect, and so I think it just makes for a great time. It's such a great watch. The funny thing is too is it is my wife's favorite series, but she does not like gore. So she's enjoying it, and then something happens. She's like, I'm like, you told me you love these movies. She's like, yeah, but I just don't like the gore. I'm like, well, it's chock full of these movies are chock full of them. So.
I love that.
Yes, it is. It is a fantastic franchise. I even enjoyed even the new kind of, I don't know what you would call it, Spiral. I actually enjoyed Spiral, even though it kind of. Yeah, it had a unique flavor to it, and it was a little bit different, and I enjoyed it. I know it gets a lot of crap because, pitting it up against the original and stuff, but I think it had its own flavor.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that. Have you seen that, Emma? Or
No,
Billy?
But I understand what you say about with originals. It's hard to come back to that, isn't it? Although my husband said he liked, I think it was 2 and 5 best or something. I haven't seen as many as he has. I don't know where he watched them. Well, he wasn't with me. But, yeah, so he said he liked those ones as well. So I think it's interesting. Different people like different parts of the franchise.
Have you seen any of the sequels, Josh?
I think I've seen all of them, and I watched Spiral, the Book of Saw. I think that came out either last year or the year before. And I really loved the setup, and I loved the idea of Chris Rock being the star of the new installment. But I just felt like it was slightly kind of like business as usual. It didn't really do anything super different, even though it was kind of rebooting the entire thing. So I was kind of like half and half on the new one. And the franchise definitely is a case of diminishing returns. I think 2 and 3. I remember being quite good, and then it just really starts to get quite repetitive, and kind of it's starts to eat itself. The mythology starts to kind of get really quite convoluted and ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they were pumping them out one a year. They were really on a real conveyor belt. So they have no time to really make these sort of consistent in quality, I don't think.
No, definitely. I think I've seen the sequel. But after that, it was too much gore for me. I was just like, I can't.
I can't believe it found the franchise that is too bloody for Shelley.
Do you know what it is? I think it's not even the blood as such, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just the fear that there are I know the idea of horror films is that there could be a sicko out there that does those kind of things, but the Saw franchise for me just really makes it feel really real that really could happen. I don't know why. It just obviously got in my head.
That's why the police procedural thing is so effective, because it grounds it in reality and makes it feel really quite plausible. And the stuff that happens to people obviously is horrific, but I hadn't really remembered that in this film it really is sort of down to the power of persuasion. You don't see him actually cut his foot off. You don't see the guy's head getting blown off. You just see the blood, It really is very cleverly done the way it really hides the actual gore. So it's
Yeah.
hilarious that it spawned the torture horror porn
Mm.
thing because actually,
Yeah.
and Saw doesn't have that much visible horrific stuff, I don't think.
No, no, definitely. And Larissa from the
Yeah.
Point on Pike Street's put the thriller aspects of what she really liked about it, and it made it different to those that followed in that subgenre.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
agree with that. Definitely,
Oh
it's
yeah, because the other ones in the genre were kind of the focus was on the prosthetic effects and how grisly and
mm,
disgusting they could get. But that wasn't the
yeah,
point here. The point here was like a really fun, twisty mystery with like a killer twist at the end.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
Yeah.
definitely. Melina, she gathered books. She's put too much gore, Shelley. Like normally, like I love a lot of blood, but I just don't know what it is about this franchise. Like even the thought of it just make it. It must have done something to me when I saw it in the cinema for the first time, and it was the scene where Zeb, is it Zeb or Zep, is hiding in the wardrobe and he
Oh
jumps out
yeah.
on the girl. And I had a wardrobe that looked exactly like that in the flat where I was living at the time. So I had to
Oh
sleep with the
no.
light on for like 3 weeks because I kept imagining someone inside the like
Oh.
wardrobe in the closet. And I think I obviously had pregnancy brain at the
Yeah,
time,
I think that
and it
probably is
just
right.
really got in my head. And I think now it's more of an anxiety to watch the others just because of that. I don't. It's really strange. It's I can't explain it. It's very weird. um, but are you like a fan of what is classed as like torture porn, torture horror now? Do you have any like other favourites? I know you mentioned Hostel. Josh too. Should we ask you first?
Oh man, I that's one like subgenre that I haven't really gotten into. I've seen Hostel and I've seen
Mm,
some other movies that kind of played into that, but it's not my go-to. Um, I'm just true blue
yeah.
like slasher movies or zombie movies or and
Mm,
I love like I don't know like movies like Dead Silence and I like uh, yeah, mainly slashers. I mean, mainly and some supernatural movies too. I really enjoy, but like I'm just like straight up killer
yeah.
survivalists. Like
Yeah.
that's my
I'm the
main thing.
same. No, I'm definitely the same. How about you, Emma? Do you like this type of like torture horror kind of thing, or
No, you'd think that I would, but
I was gonna
I
say.
Safe
I
bet.
didn't like Hostel. I didn't like it. I don't know what it was. Something has to be clever for me. So
Mm,
Saw is clever. So there's a clever element to it. There's a reason why there's this whole setup of the games. They'd have to plan out this whole mystery around it.
mm,
Um, and then do something really drastic, like it gets inside your head, psychologically inside your head. How far would you go to survive? So
mm.
with things like Hostel and things like that, and gross things like Human Centipede or whatever, it just
Oh, I've seen
shock
that.
value isn't for me. Yeah, shock value is not for me. So if it's just gore for the sake of shocking the audience with that gore,
Mm.
then no, I'm not cool with that. I'd go with Josh too, and rather the slasher.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm the
absolutely.
same. How about you, Josh?
You're
One?
saying
I think I've accidentally seen quite a lot of them.
accidentally.
Yeah, like Switchblade Romance was like a French, I think it was French Canadian or French film. It was called Haute Tension originally, and that's I guess kind of torture porny. It's more of
Mm,
maybe like a really grisly slasher film, I think actually. But and things like The Hills Have Eyes, the remake of
mm,
that was quite torture porny, I think. It's like
mm.
it's difficult to like the ones that are very obviously like Captivity. I think the one with what's the
Oh,
face
yeah.
from the girl next door, that's definitely torture porn.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wouldn't, they're not really my go-to, I don't think. Like I'm
Mm.
similar to Emma and Josh, where I think it needs to have more than just we're here just for gore. Slasher films
Yeah.
have like such an element of fun, and they're kind of mysteries as well.
Yeah.
They're like party films, whereas
Mm.
Yeah,
torture porn films are sort of like just feel nasty, I guess.
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
Yeah.
grim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm totally with you all. I like my slashers, and yeah, I watched that Human Centipede with my sister, who just laughs at everything. So she was like manically laughing at everything, and I was kind of sitting there frozen to the spot, like, what the hell is going on in this film? Yeah, never again, never again. It was weird.
Yeah.
But it is funny because James Wan didn't intend to make this like torture horror brand kind of film, and the script only kind of had one short segment of torture essentially. So he said, as Narissa said earlier, it plays out like a mystery thriller. And it wasn't until the sequels that then the plot kind of focused more on the torture side of things. So it's quite interesting how that kind of laid the foundation for everything else to
Well, yeah,
come.
because in this first one, you only really see Shawnee Smith with the bear trap. Like you see her kind of in peril, but the other ones are dead already, aren't they? Pretty much, or you just see snippets
You
of
see
stuff
like little
happening.
snippets, yeah, don't
Yeah,
you, of
and
what
mostly it's like
happened.
the
Yeah.
after effect.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of like Seven. Like I got a real Seven vibe from this
Yeah.
film, where in Seven
Yeah,
they just find the bodies essentially, or they find the victims, and then
yeah,
you learn what happened to them. That's kind of the Saw.
Mm.
The first Saw
yeah.
does that.
Yeah, and Stephen from Creep Talk podcast put Human Centipede is so gross, but I had to watch it. That was kind of like me, like I was
Morbid
kind of,
fascination.
I wasn't even
So horrible.
fascinated. I was just like, no, it can't get any worse. It's got to get a little bit better, and then it just got really bad. I can't believe I watched the whole thing, to be honest. So bad. So director James Wan stated that many of the scare scenes in the film were nightmares he and Lee Wanell, I'm sure I'm getting it right now, had as kids. So which was your favourite scare out of the in the film? Emma?
Is it the bear trap that's over the head?
Mm,
The thing that's in her jaws?
yeah.
That's got to be my absolute favourite torture device because it's just so horrific that when it goes, it's going to rip your mouth open, like rip you in two. Like, that for me was the scariest one, and I would have done it exactly what she did. I would have panicked, and the other person would have got it. I couldn't have coped.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, "Sorry, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do this."
And actually, that one is so horrific that you actually don't want to see it. You just really don't want to see that happen.
Yeah.
And it's just when it comes off, she gets it off her head and it springs. It just gives you that image, doesn't it, of what would have happened to her had she not got that off her head.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
for
love
me
the
that
way
was
the film
the
plays with that though. It's like, do you want to see this? Are you sure you want to see it?
yeah.
Kind of,
I'm like, no.
Are you like going?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was that was the most impactful as well. Her reaction as well, and the way the camera work is where she's sort of like this. That panic was right up there, wasn't it? Because obviously the timer starts as soon as she unlocks. So yeah, that's scary for me.
No, definitely. Narissa said you'd go quick though.
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah.
How about you, Josh? Too. What's your favourite scare?
Not as much this time around, but the first time I saw it, I remember like just when he's going through his house and he's like flashing the camera, like as he's walking. That one got me the first time I saw it. Like I was like, didn't know what to expect, and then all of a sudden, like the pig mask and like, oh god, yeah. I mean, the second time though, or like the second and third time I watched it though, I already knew it was coming, so it was like. But that first initial watch, it got me. That would be my favorite though.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. That's my actual favourite scare. That is because there's something so terrifying about being in the dark and you're just using that flash to do it. And I know I read a book. It's a YA horror by Alex Belfrose and Charlotte. And she does. She writes a scene using like that camera, the flash, and the girl's going through the house in the dark, and she's just flashing the camera, and like that to me is like really, really scary. I love that.
Yeah.
How about you, Joshua?
I found the pig mask really terrifying as well, and the bit where the pig comes out of the car and crawls around the car and then just
Oh,
rushes Carrie Elwes. That was scary. Even though it's not like a jump, it's just the weirdness of that, the hair over the pig face, just really, I don't like
yeah,
that. It's horrible.
yeah, that is scary. Yeah, no, I agree. Oh, gonna have nightmares tonight. um, Director James Wan built the Jigsaw doll for the film, apparently from scratch. So it was not like a store-bought puppet that they built on or altered. It was actually like built themselves. And I think, did they base it on the Italian horror director? Is it, another name I'm going to butcher, is it Argento?
Yeah.
Yay! So it's something to do with Deep Red, that film in 1975. I said a name right. So do you think that, oh no, it makes a change. Do you think that Billy the Jigsaw doll, as modelled by Josh Wan, is effective and scary, in your opinion? And why do you think it captured people's imagination? We'll go with Josh Wan because you dressed as Billy the puppet.
Everyone loves a puppet.
Yeah!
I just think he's great. I don't know. Is he scary? I don't know. Not really. I don't think so. It's like unnerving. I just thought he was adorable.
What do you think that's
when he comes out on the tricycle?
Yeah, on the little tricycle.
I just love it. It's great. I just love all the little weird things like the pig mask and the puppet, and the fact that Jigsaw's watching people on screens and stuff. I just love all those incongruous things that fit together in a really interesting way. So he's just like a really fun part of that.
Yeah.
Horrorness.
Yeah. Why do you think he captured people's attention? Like, you think of Saw and you do think of that puppet. It's quite clever. Obviously, that's the idea, but what do you think it is? Just because it's like a fun, sinister kind of thing in a weird way.
It's kind of like a Poltergeist throwback, maybe, where it's just like a really instantly iconic toy that's moving around, and you're not entirely sure if it is being controlled by somebody or if it isn't, kind of thing. And there's like a mystery around him. And it's
is
like,
it another
why
Chucky?
Yeah, it's Chucky, exactly. Like, is the puppet actually a killer puppet? Yeah, it's just like a really cool thing.
Yeah. How about you, Emma? Did you think the Billy the doll was effective?
I didn't think it was scary at all. I quite like the doll because it is. Yeah, Josh is scary dressed as the doll, but I mean, if Josh was like hanging around like that, you'd be frightened, wouldn't you? You'd be like, oh my god. But yeah, I think on a person
Josh,
it's scary.
Stop.
Oh my god. But
so scary.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool looking puppet. But I didn't immediately go to that when you said we were going to be watching, when that was the vote and Saw 1. I didn't immediately. I went to the bloody foot.
Oh, did you?
You know, yeah, that's the Saw, because it has a double meaning, the name, doesn't it? So Jigsaw, Saw, it's all, it's. So I went straight for the Saw and the foot come to mind, not the puppet at all, which was interesting. Yeah.
And doesn't the poster have a severed hand, not a severed foot? Am I imagining that? That's right.
Oh, is that a Mandela effect thing, Josh? I'm not sure. I think it is a foot, isn't it?
Is it a foot?
Or maybe it isn't. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I didn't look that close. I was like, oh, no.
No, Shelley's like, oh.
I can't tell hands and feet apart. They all look the same to me.
Narissa said it's a foot.
Is a foot. Oh, okay, sorry.
It is a foot, yeah.
Oh, dear. How about you, Josh, too? Did you think Billy the Puppet was effective in like the scares and things like that, creepiness?
No, I kind of agree with Josh. One, it was a little unnerving, but not horrifying. It's just kind of creepy, but it's nothing that, like, I don't know, I wasn't like super scared by it, but it just kind of like gave you like this weird feeling, and I think he's a great mascot. For the franchise.
No, definitely.
but not effective in scariness factor. That's for
I
sure.
think if he came through my door right now on a tricycle, I think I would be scared.
Well,
But
surprise,
in
Josh! Look behind you.
in the context of the film, though, no.
Well, what would you do though, Josh, if it did come through your door on the
I'd be like,
tricycle? What would your reaction be?
Tom.
There's a big spider. Come and
Yeah,
get it.
put the cat on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
put the
yeah.
cat on it. Penny.
I do wonder whether they were quite clever in one respect, because if they were thinking of it to be a franchise down the line, which I don't think they did from the first one until they saw the success, but they obviously needed, like, in my opinion, like a focal point. Because like Jigsaw, he's not, yeah, he's scary, but he's not creepy to look
No,
at,
he's just a guy.
essentially. So I think they needed something just to capture a bit of creepiness that people would remember, maybe. But who am I?
Yeah. No, I think that's probably a good point.
Yeah, just like sometimes I look at things and I think, oh, marketing. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they think
Yeah.
ahead of time.
And
So
also they kind of they kind of trick you with who the killer really is. So I think it does give you something to focus on when they've clearly got Zep or Zed, the guy who appears to be in charge, and it turns out he's actually part of another game as well. So I think
Yeah,
it gives you
that was
something to
clever.
focus on, I guess.
Yeah, and it's Michael Emerson, and he's such a good. If I said that, I even said that name right, but he's such a good actor, because I think after this, I saw him in Lost, which came, I think, after Saw, and he's
Yes, it did.
phenomenal actor. Nerissa's put, remember uni housemates asking if I wanted to play a game. I sounded like Scream then, rather than
Yeah.
Saw. Then very hastily added, not a Saw type game. Yeah, I'd be like, what type of game?
Yes, I do.
Oh, and Josh 2's multitasking, live or die. Oh God.
The choice is yours.
Oh God, it's so scary. Oh, he's so good.
Brilliant.
So every scene was filmed in like various building that was rented out by the crew. Many of the sets in the film were originally like empty rooms, and obviously they added the props in. And Lee, one and all. I just call him Lee. He's my mate. Lee revealed in an interview that Adam and Lawrence were originally going to be trapped in an elevator. And there were no exterior shots for the film because the production team basically couldn't afford them. So would the film have been as effective in a different setting? So I'm on about the two characters more than anything. Do you think an elevator would have worked as the setting? What do you think, Josh, too?
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, because like there was a movie where people were trapped on an elevator and they were getting killed off one by one, and it was called Devil. I don't know when that came out, but like that was a pretty effective film. I don't know. I liked that they like wake up and it's like this kind of like grungy looking bathroom, like locker room, whatever style place. It was, not your usual setting for that. I don't know. I think an elevator would have been okay, but there was so much more to work with in that kind of space versus an elevator. So
yeah,
I think they made the right decision.
Yeah, no, I agree. How about you, Emma? What do you think? Do you think a different setting would have worked, or?
No, I don't think it would have. I think because how far they were apart, they needed to be that far apart, didn't they? They couldn't get at each other. That's how it worked with them throwing the keys back and forward and the little mini tapes back and forward. I don't think it would have been. Yeah, if they were in an elevator, they'd be too close together, or even a big one. They would have been able to reach each other. No, I don't think it could work anywhere else. I'm with Josh too on that. I think it was the perfect setting.
Yeah, no, definitely. How about you, Billy?
I think that the elevator would have just been too claustrophobic. I think it would have been somewhat almost unwatchable, to have them
Yeah.
trapped in such a small space. And it's kind of like, did escape rooms exist when this film was made, or did this film sort of predict escape rooms? Because they do find stuff. You know, they find the X on the wall to get the get something out of the wall. They find the saws in the latrine thing. So there's like a really fun thing about the fact that the room keeps giving up certain secrets or like further traps or little games within games, and I guess they could have found a way to do that in an elevator, but it wouldn't have been anywhere near as fun.
It's a good point about escape rooms though, because like I don't think they were around back then. Like I don't remember things like that. Not as much as, definitely not as much as now. Like over here in the UK, there's quite a lot. I'm not sure about in the US. There's like loads of escape room type games, but yeah, interesting. We'll have to look that up. You're giving us some homework to go off and do.
Do it or die.
Live or die. Narissa's put, things being just out of reach wouldn't have worked so well unless it was a goods delivery lift. But even then, like the space is still going to be, you know, they would have been able to reach each other probably.
Although they were both terrible at throwing. It was hilarious. Whenever they threw anything, they always went like past them into the corner.
Why didn't they slide it across the floor? Is it because it was going to the dead body?
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't they slide it round him? Throwing it over him.
Oh God, yeah. It was like I would class it as a Shelley throw because I'm rubbish at throwing stuff. So like, and like, I would totally miss. Like you'd all be dead.
Go in that grungy toilet. Oh no!
Oh, that toilet seed.
That was disgusting.
Oh, that toilet seed.
Why did he put his hand in there? Come on.
Well, apparently it was meant to be like a bit of a nod to Train Spotting, the toilet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's gross. And I know Melina messaged me earlier and she said, "Oh, that toilet seat, it's horrible."
If only he'd looked in the bath drain. You know, the cleaner's there all the time.
We've all learned a very valuable lesson from watching Saw, that
Always
we look
check
in
the drain.
Yeah, look there first before we put our
in the
hand
toilet.
down. Oh dear. Larissa's put, Buried is one hell of a claustrophobic film that I would never watch again.
I don't think I've seen that.
I think I might. Has that got Ryan Reynolds in it? No. Yeah, I've seen it then. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I remember that. Very claustrophobic. So apparently as well with the camera movements, director James Wan, he reflected the two main characters' emotions and personalities. So apparently he filmed Dr. Gordon with like a steady controlled shot and then Adam with like a handheld kind of shot just to try and capture their emotions in the situation and the differences between them. And in order to make the characters feel like they were immersed in it, they filmed it all in chronological order in that little basement warehouse thing. So do you think can you tell, do you think it works that they filmed it in a chronological order and the way they did the camera angles? Do you think you can tell that, or as a viewer, does it not make much difference to us because we don't know? What do you think, Billy?
I think it does. I think the shooting chronologically works in the way that the characters become more and more desperate as the film goes along, and like getting Carrie Elwes's character, the Doctor, to the point where he's actually capable of sort of like soaring off his own foot to get out of that situation. I think that they do such a good job, but like that final push to get him there, I think it's really effective the way you see him just suddenly get more and more wound up and anxious, and he kind of slightly basically loses his mind, and it's done so effectively. And I wonder if that is because of the chronological shooting style. I didn't notice the character specific camera stuff, I have to say. But sometimes that's fine. It's just part of the nature of the film. that you're not necessarily aware of all that stuff happening.
No, definitely.
It was the
How
same
about
when I
you?
first
Oh,
watched.
sorry. No, go on.
No, it was the same when I watched Silence of the Lambs for the first time. I didn't notice that so many of the shots were sort of like almost like Peep Show, where characters are talking at the camera and it's just like face to face. But it really draws you in really effectively, and you don't
Yeah.
really think about it until you're like, oh, wait a minute, like there was a lot of talking to camera.
Yeah, it's quite clever, really, because like it's just clever how they. I know this is the idea, but they trick your mind, kind of thing, into like, and then you don't think about it till after.
Yeah.
How about you, Josh? Too? Do you think it was a good decision to do it in like chronological, like like Josh one said, you see the desperation of the characters?
Yeah, and with Adam, it seemed to be more like he was already a wreck. Like the minute he like was up and about, he was just like he was already panicking. And you kind of see more of Dr. Gordon. He's like more calm about the situation. It's like, was this your first time, kind of thing, or is this like a weekly thing? You get like, but you slowly see his descent into kind of like this paranoia, like kind of like, we got to get out of here. More of, but like it's cool seeing like the difference between the two characters for sure.
Yeah,
because Dr. Gordon is definitely more of the cooler head in that situation, and Adam's like most of the people in the population who would, if you woke up in that situation, you'd freak the hell out. So
yeah, 100%.
So Adam's like the majority, and then I don't know. Dr. Gordon, he was panicking on the inside, or he was just like, oh, just another day at the office,
Wasn't he a surgeon?
Yeah.
So he just like
I think so,
steady
yeah.
hands. And also he
like,
wasn't a very nice
knows how
guy,
to.
so he probably thought like this is going to happen eventually at some point.
It was only a
before it was his mistress that did it.
Yeah.
This is the 5th time this month.
You can just imagine it, actually. You can imagine it. Oh dear. How about you, Emma? Do you think it worked well doing that chronological order kind of thing?
Well, I've seen these actors in other things, and I didn't think their performance is as good as their later stuff that they've done. So this was, I know, controversial. I felt that after seeing the surgeon, I don't know the actor's name. I'm dreadful with actors' names. But he's in Stranger Things, isn't he? He's is he the mayor? I can't. Yeah. So after seeing him do that, I felt his acting in Saw was a little bit forced. I don't know. Didn't ring as true as what he does now. So I felt that the chronological order might not have been great. I don't know. I felt that maybe they would just concentrate on the one scene and push as much into that. Because when I'm writing, I write chapters out of order. Yeah, I do. Like people film things out of order. I do that. When it comes to me and the idea's there, I write it out of order. And I'm like, well, I concentrate on what needs to go on in that section of what I'm looking at the time, and then I look at it as a whole. I would never go next one. I just don't work that way. So for me, I think it might have worked better or be more intense if they had done it out of sequence. That's just I might be completely wrong. I'm not a filmmaker. But so I could be completely wrong there. But yeah, I felt that the acting for me, and the shaky camera, that's interesting, isn't it? Because I did notice that it felt a little bit more like what's the one in the forest?
Blair Witch Project.
My head. Yes, Blair Witch Project. Yes, that's the one. It felt a bit like that when I was looking at the jittery guy. So I did notice that, but I didn't notice that it wasn't the same way for the surgeon, which is interesting, So it's interesting that Josh said he didn't notice that either. I didn't either. So, but I did notice he was a bit wobbly and all over the place.
I noticed that whoever was doing, I can't say his name, so Dr. Gordon, that actor, whoever was doing his makeup was making him look more like a zombie as it went on than Adam. Like I know he chopped his foot off, and I know that's probably like going to make you go a bit of a funny colour, but
Lots
it was
of blood.
like it looked a bit like how Josh 1 looks like. It was getting like whiter and whiter.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Even
but then
Sean.
Adam just
Maybe
had like a
he's got
normal
that bit.
face. But yeah, I thought that was a bit weird. But I do get what you mean a bit with the acting, Emma. I am with you on that, because I do think that I'm not going to butcher his name, but Dr. Gordon, he can act so much better. I mean, Princess Bride, you know, he was in the Princess Bride, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
No, it was. Yeah.
But yeah, I suddenly just thought then, oh God. But like he can do so much better. But didn't he sue the writers of Saw and the director or something? I might be wrong on this, but I'm sure he sued them. Something to do with he didn't get paid enough money that he was agreed, or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, there was something
maybe.
that went on, and I think he did get a payout from it.
Right.
And then, funny enough, he did return back in one of the later films, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think so. I'm not 100% sure. I could be very wrong there. So Tobin Bell, who obviously plays Jigsaw, he lay face down for all of the scenes set in the bathroom, so no dummy was used at all.
Wow.
I mean, that takes something to lie all in the same position for that time. But apparently when he read the script, he said he couldn't not take the job, because he was lying down. No,
even in the hospital he's lying down.
He just said basically he thought the script was clever, because when he was reading it, he didn't anticipate the ending. So he thought it was quite clever, and the audience would get caught by surprise. So he said for that alone, it was just worth doing the film. I think it's because he wanted to lie down. But what did we think of the twist? Did you ever guess it when you first watched it, Emma?
No.
No.
You know what? And I guessed everything. So I was pretty shocked when he stood up. I went, yeah, like that. In the cinema. I just did not, and I spoiled the Sixth Sense for everybody in the opening. Remember, I shouted out, "He never survived," you know, and then I was like,
Emma, people haven't seen it. I'm joking.
Sorry, it's old. I'm allowed to. Sorry, but yeah, no, I didn't see it coming. But yeah, and I think back on it now, and I think that guy's. The one thing is he's sick. Remember, he's got a terminal illness. And I thought, how is he lying on that floor for 6 hours without moving, not even twitching? And he's electrocuting them. And I'm like going, how has he done this? Did he sedate himself? I mean, no, because he's electrocuting people. But he wasn't doing that until a bit later, was he? So I don't know. I'm like, I don't think I could lie there for 6 hours without twitching. How could you? I don't know.
Unless he just had a really deep sleep.
Maybe start snoring.
Yeah. Where's that noise coming from? The dead body snoring. Get out.
Oh dear. How about you, Josh, too? When you first saw it, did you ever guess that ending, that twist?
Not on the first watch. You know, because that was the first time I saw it. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was quite a while ago. Now, like, I find myself in any horror movie I'm watching, I'm analyzing all possible outcomes. I'm thinking about, like, you know, oh, it could be definitely him. But then, you know, I kind of think psychologically, like, okay, well, maybe they want us to think of him. So we think, oh, that's too obvious. So that's not him. So that it is him. I'm like, my brain is just turning all these gears while I'm watching movies. But the first time I saw it, I had no idea. I was a lot younger then. I didn't think about it. I was just there for the ride, and it caught me by surprise.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's what appealed to me about it was that was a real shock. I'll never forget the shock of him getting up off the floor. How about you, Josh? Billy?
Oh no, I didn't see that one coming.
No.
They did such a clever job, because you actually almost forget the body's even there. It becomes like part of the scenery.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of trying to remember what it felt like watching it the first time, and like I may have thought maybe that guy isn't dead, but then because he doesn't move for the entire film, you just sort of
Mhm.
dismiss it and forget about it, and then you focus on the fact that this other guy is running around outside the room, seemingly wanting
Mhm.
to kill people. It's very
Mm,
clever.
Mhm.
yeah, it's very, very
Yeah.
clever. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, so Dr. Gordon states that Jigsaw technically isn't a murderer because he finds ways for his victims to kill themselves. So he is
Oh.
right because technically Jigsaw never actually kills anyone, really. So he's technically right. However, he still could have been charged for second degree murder because of what he did. But do you agree or disagree? Do you think Jigsaw was a murderer or not? So, Emma.
Well, technically, by that measure, then someone who's driving a car and smashes into somebody, because they're drunk, didn't kill the person. The car did.
Mm.
I think. I think. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that at all. I think if you've set up something that could possibly make someone die, then you murdered them.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, no, I know he didn't. He set the things up, and they kind of walked into it,
Mhm.
but there wasn't much choice, so they were going to die either way. So I think
Mm.
choice is the key there. They didn't have a choice. Whatever they did, could potentially end in in their death, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think he's definitely a murderer for
Mm.
sure.
How about you, Josh? Too. What do you think?
Gosh. Um, I'm on the fence because I mean, especially in the sequels too, there's like, he does provide them with ways of getting out of the situation, but not the most pleasant way of getting out, like sticking your hands in a bunch of needles or like,
Mm.
having to cut your foot off. And I mean, as much as that's not killing someone, that's pretty messed up. So I kind of have to go
Mm.
with M. I kind of have to go with M on this, even though I'm kind of like he kind of gives him a way out, but like he puts him in some very like intense situations. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think he should be, because who in the right mind, like he's driving them to like a very desperate point. Like who in the right mind wants to like
Mm.
push people to that brink? Or like he's like, okay, well if you don't want to, I'm fine with sitting here and watching you die, you know?
Mm. No,
So
Yeah.
definitely. No, I agree. Yeah. How about you, Josh? One.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely a killer. He's called the Jigsaw Killer for a reason. He's not
Yeah.
he's not pushing them off the cliff, but he's definitely putting them right on the edge with no way off it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. No, I agree. I just thought it was an interesting, just when Dr. Gordon said that, and I thought, oh,
Mm.
so he's saying he's technically not a killer. That's just, I just found it interesting
But
to see what other
is
people
that the talk of
thought.
a surgeon who's like, if my patient dies on the operating table, I didn't kill
Mm,
them.
yeah.
They died.
Ah,
Is
yeah.
that just
Yeah.
a rationalization of a surgeon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe.
definitely. Could be. It's like Melina. Melina's just put, what did you think about the girl who survived saying that Jigsaw helped her appreciate her life? Now, Melina hasn't seen the sequels because I think this was a first time watch. But yeah, essentially, that's the lesson he is trying to teach, isn't it? He's trying to teach to say, appreciate your life. Otherwise, I'll
Mm.
put you in like a
Is there
puzzle.
one? Is there a character in one of the sequels where they actually survive a trap and then they don't clean up their act and they get put in another trap? Is that something that happens? I feel like,
I
It does ring a
I think
bell.
so.
yeah.
I It
Yeah.
does sound familiar. I can't remember which one that is, but that does
Mm,
sound like one I've seen before where they do get put in another game.
yeah.
Mm.
I
Oh,
loved,
okay.
I loved her character in the first one. I thought she was great, and she's played by Shawnee Smith. I
Shawnee
don't know if
Smith.
you maybe Josh knows about this show, Scream Queens. Not the Jamie Lee Curtis one, the reality TV show with James Gunn as a judge, and a load of
Ooh.
actors basically line up to try to win a role in Saw 6, I think it is. It's just like
fun.
batshit crazy reality TV show. It's like back in the early days of reality TV, you would not get away with the stuff that they do in this show. But Shawnee Smith is one of the judges.
Yeah.
And
Oh wow.
she's just great in it.
Oh, I'm gonna
She's
have
like,
to watch
I'm a
that.
Saw girl. Yeah, she's just so great.
So it's called Scream Queen. So
Scream Queens.
like the TV series
Yeah.
film. Oh, okay. No, I'm
It's
gonna check that
nuts.
out.
Sounds
Yeah.
fun.
For sure.
Narissa's put, would you rather be in Dr. Gordon's position or have to do Gerald's game escape? Oh.
I don't know what happens at the end of Gerald's game, so I don't know.
No, I don't either.
No.
If I'm honest, I was hoping someone else. Do you know, Emma?
No.
No. Tell us, Narissa.
No, don't tell us. Don't
Oh, well, no, don't. Yeah. We have to find out. That's our second piece of homework. That's what we'll have to find out. But it's a yikes. Oh, the Tyler Durden appreciate your life approach would be much more preferable. Yes. So, in contrast to the majority of horror films, all of the victims who die in this film seem to be men. And I thought that was quite an interesting difference. So do you think this was done intentionally, or what are your thoughts on this? Oh, sorry, Emma.
I think, well, if you think about why they would be statistically men, it's because they're men in power. And if you think about things, mostly there are evil men at the top. So I think that's why it is, because he's watching people who are living their lives badly. Not to say that women don't. I've been to Murderpedia and looked up all the female serial killers ever. So they
Whoa.
do. They don't get caught as often, but I think it's because statistically, if he's going to find someone doing something dodgy, it's going to be a powerful man. So I think, or like the photographer, someone following a powerful man to bring that person down. So that was just my idea. It was 2001 he wrote it, right? So if we think back then to when I was working in an office and I had to quit because the men were being paid $5,000 more than the women, and I wouldn't have it. And so I went and saw my barrister, and who was my boss, and he said, "Do you want to face me in court?" And I went, "No." He said, "Smart girl, I'm sad to lose you." And that was what happened when I was 21. And so, so I think because it was written in that time, he would have been looking at a lot of men like my boss at the time. So that's why I think they're mostly men, personally.
Why was Adam there? What had he done wrong? I can't remember.
He was a sneaky photographer taking
I think
pictures of his life.
Was it just a setup? I think, did Jigsaw find out he was taking photos of Dr. Gordon for that police officer or something? Yeah,
so he was like a little snitch, wasn't he? But or maybe he had a dislike for journalism and reporters. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think Josh won?
Sorry if anyone is one of those. Not me.
What do you think Josh won? Do you think it was intentional that it was mainly men that was killed off in the film?
I don't know, but I like it. I think it's a fun subversion of what you expect from a horror film. And I wonder is it sexist to say that it might be less fun if it was women in traps? It would feel a lot more exploitative, maybe. A lot more like 70s grungy horror rather than sort of like slick 2000s horror. So maybe that's the reason. To do it to men is sort of like, well, it's a male director, male writer, but to put women in those positions maybe wouldn't be as fun of a horror ride, maybe.
Yeah, because I have seen Hostel years ago, and if I think about Hostel, and that's mainly women, isn't it, getting the torture, and it does kind of put a different spin on it, in my opinion. How about you, Josh, too?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about this as we're talking, and I do think it was intentional to a degree. I think it it's showing, because if you watch all like all the movies before Saw, like there is a lot more victims that are women in these films, and it just shows that men can be just as vulnerable. And I mean, look at Shawnee's character. She got out, like she beat the game, and these dudes were having more hell of a time, and they obviously like Adam got trapped at the end, and it shows that sometimes women can overcome things that men can't, and it's just men are just as susceptible to these things and becoming victims as women are. I mean, there are very strong women out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Oh, those were really good answers. I'm really glad I asked that question. That was really good. Yeah. So final question, because I realise we're coming up to the hour, but what do you think makes Saw this first Saw 1, so forget the franchises, what made it one of the most profitable films of all time, do you think? What do you think, Josh? One?
I think it is just such a good mystery. It's just like you'd come out of this film and you'd be like, that was scary and thrilling, and you would just say to your friends, just go to watch it. You're never going to guess what happens. It's such a great word of mouth kind of film, I think, and it's just such a great idea. Just the concept is so strong that it almost just sells itself. If you're a horror fan, I'm not sure it would appeal to many non-horror fans because it is really quite a horrible idea. But for horror fans, I think it was like something really fresh, cutting edge, new and different that broke out of like the 90s slasher phase and just did something so different.
Yeah. I know my husband Kev, he says it's the worst film he's ever seen in his life. He obviously hasn't watched Human Centipede, but But yeah. How about you, Emma? What do you think? Why do you think it was the most profitable film? What appeal? What was the appeal?
Just basically that twist at the end, just like Josh says, everyone would have gone, oh my God. It was just that one thing just levels it up above everything else. You know, that one shocker like that, everyone would have gone and seen it and go, oh yeah, this is quite frightening. This is quite interesting. There's a mystery in it. But that little bit at the end just would have gone, mate, you got to go and see this. Tell me if you guess it. I never guessed it. I couldn't guess it. And that would absolutely be the reaon. That they couldn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And my husband's with your husband, Shelley, not fan.
No.
So yeah, and drove me nuts while I was watching it. I was like, shh, look, I know you don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that probably elevated it to word of mouth, just going like wildfire.
No, I agree on that. How about you, Josh, too? What do you think?
I think for multiple reasons. Definitely with you guys on the ending. It was a great twist to it. But on top of that, too, like the whole, we've gone from people being, just straight up killed by the murder or like the killers to, these people are putting their lives are in their own hands. I mean, someone's not hacking them up with a like a hacksaw or like doing anything to them. They're put in this situation. It was just so unique at the time. Everybody has seen all the Friday the 13th. Everybody's seen the Screams, the, Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like, it's all played out. It's been like, everybody's seen all that stuff. But then just this, these two guys trapped in a room, they have the tools to get out. They just have to do some like horrific things to do so. It was just so unique. And then that twist at the end, I think it really sold it.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. I think for its time, because this was obviously one of the first, it spawned so many different films after, and I just think for its time, it was very unique. I don't think, other than Blair Witch, okay, you can say it's, in that realm of, but it's not the same, I know, but you kind of going into like a different territory. Like that was witchy. This is like real life stuff, and I kind of just think at the time it was just so unique, and I think people just brought into it. But I don't like what it spawned after. Like, like all this like human centipede stuff was just way too much for me.
Poor old human centipede.
Oh dear, no, I can't believe how many sequels that had like.
Didn't watch any of them.
Oh God, no, Emma, don't do it. I'm still like traumatized from it after all these years. Like, I can't unsee what I saw on that film. It's not pleasant.
Feed her.
Oh God, it's
What's
too much. Oh, God. Emma's like, I'm definitely not watching this film now.
No, I've seen clips of it and I was like, not for me.
Oh, but the point Nerissa's put ends up kind of overall, I reckon, with the sequel. So I think that was about the males being killed off. So over the sequels, perhaps it evens up a little bit. And about is Jigsaw a murderer? Karen put, it's like saying a bully who messages someone constantly isn't at fault if the person dies. It's all psychological torture that results in death if not stopped. So he's definitely a murderer. Yeah, definitely. I agree. But that is the end of our chat. So thank you for answering all of my weird questions and putting up with me pronouncing names wrong, which always happens. It never gets any better, does it? And thanks to everyone who joined in and put comments up. Do check out The Shadow Glass by Josh Winning, dressed up. I've got the book ready this time. It's got puppets in it. Lots of puppets. Go for it. And look out for Emma doing amazing things very soon. And obviously, thanks to Josh too. I can stop calling you Josh too now. But thanks for being our special guest. Like, honestly, you're so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Do check out Josh's YouTube. Do check out Josh's YouTube channel, Nightmare on Woodsboro Lake. What I'll do is I'll put a little link up in the story, but it's so good. And Josh has got a really good band as well. So if you like,
cool.
Like, will you class it as heavy metal band?
It's more of like a heavy progressive rock style.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But but honestly, check it out. Josh is hugely talented, so do check out all his stuff. But thank you all for joining us. And
thanks, Shelley.
I promise, Josh won. I will dress up next month. I promise you, because I'm sure last month you and Emma dressed up, and I will dress up. So pick a nice film so I don't look stupid.
The centipede.
Kev! On that note, I'm going to go.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.